What time is it? Chat time. Let's go. Boston has entered the chat. Travis Thomas here inside the PNC Bank studio with my man on remote in Jersey. Come on now, George Balekji. How you doing, Poppy?
I'm doing great, my man. Just love your intros. Hey, couldn't be better. I mean, I'm coming out here to Jersey because I'm still trying to figure out what the hell happened to Rob Saleh. I'll have answers by the end of this episode. That's why I'm back in Jersey, bro. Not far from Florham Park.
You're investigating? Hey, I can actually solve that case for you. Aaron Rodgers stabbed him in the back. I don't care that he's denying it, George. You know damn well Aaron Rodgers had a part to play, a major part, in Robert Saleh getting whacked. You know it. I know it. Aaron Rodgers knows it.
Hey, look, I'm doing a verbal meme right now. Guy in the hot dog costume, hot dog cars crashing into the store. We're all trying to find the guy who did this.
Yes.
I think you should leave. That's basically Aaron Rodgers right now. Well, let's get into it, man. I'm excited for today.
We need you all to help us with this investigation. You could call the chat always, 617-790-0928. You can also email us, thechat@nesson.com. In fact, George, we have we'll call it a very spirited, fiery, passionate voicemail we'll get to later in this program. But first, coming up, we want to hear from QB1, Drake Maye, his first words since being named the starter against the Texans. Plus, don't miss our power rankings after Week 5 going into Week 6 here of the NFL season. And, of course, we'll get you ready for tonight's Bruins home opener against the Habs. All that and more coming up on this episode of Boston Has Entered the Chat. But, George, let's start with Drake. Drake Maye talking to the media. First time since QB1. Let's just get right into it. This soundbite we're going to hear is about him going up against that Texans defense. And, George, he's looking at how can I attack this thing. Take a listen.
Yeah. I think early on, just try to take what they give me, find completions. I think that's the biggest thing for young quarterback going in there. And then from there, just don't try to hunt up off platform or off play, off schedule throws. I think just kind of feel it out and just play football. Yeah, I think the biggest thing sometimes is just you try to get outside the pocket when you don't need to, and little things like that. So just play within the pocket and trust my feet, and just should go out there and play.
George, I like a few things about the whole press conference. We just played one clip for you there, but the whole press conference, he was very loose. He didn't seem uptight. He seemed, and listen, that's everything we heard about the kid too. He's a good kid. He's laid back, right? No diva in him, hard worker. I did get that from this press conference. And you and I have been a part of a lot of quarterbacks getting their first starts, not only in their career, but journeyman backups getting their first starts because something happens to the starter, whatevs. And sometimes you can get a vibe or a feel that a guy is a little bit nervous, a little bit on eggshells. Not the case. If anything, George, I thought he was calm, cool, and collected and himself, very authentic throughout this press conference. Did you get the same thing?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, he walked up there. He's like, you want me to sit in this chair? And he's like, I'm not doing that, and stood up at the podium. But he went up there, addressed it right away. He said it's an opportunity. He knew it's something he dreamt about. Yeah. But then he credited Jacoby Brissett. He said he is the ideal teammate. He is the best leader that he learned from Jacoby. Not even just football, but how to handle teammates, how to handle the media, being a mentor. Keep saying he's a mentor. And that's big. Hey, this is how you handle the Boston media. Because New York, Boston, Philly, I said ad nauseum, that's a different breed than if he was in Cincinnati, in Green Bay, in one of those flyover towns in the Midwest. But he stood up there and he was owning the moment. It wasn't a deer in headlights at all in a press conference. And look, we've seen coaches go out and win the press conference and be an awful coach. We see quarterbacks do the same thing. So I'm not going to go too much into it, but for him to step into being QB1, how he had the answers for the media, and that bite we ran right there, if he goes, I'm just going to take the completions the defense gives me. Yeah. Don't hunt off platform. Hang in the pocket. He's saying the right things. And I would like to say this. People that listened to yesterday's episode of Chat and the last episode of Foxborough Rush, I had smoke blowing out of my ears, fire coming out of my nose, and I was beat red in the face screaming of how can you do this to Drake Maye? I would like to point out the one thing I don't have issue with of going right now into Sunday is Drake Maye. I hate everything but Drake Maye about the offensive situation Sunday. So to hear this from him was refreshing, Trav. But I hear this, and you know what my head says? Oh, you're going to find completions? Where? Who's getting separation? Who's getting schemed open? You're not going to hunt off platform. I love that, Drake. I love that. Hang in the pocket. But you're not going to have to hunt it. It's going to come to you, and you're going to have to run for your life. There are a lot of issues with this offensive situation. And again, nothing, in my opinion, has to do with the quarterback that will be starting for them on Sunday. He gives them a much higher ceiling on offense. He will ignite that locker room, but I'm worried about the structure around him. I keep going back to that. The structure and the supporting cast around him what has my worries. Yeah. But that bite right there, and him saying it quick too, follow-up question, hitting on it.
Yep.
He was good. Talking to me for the first time as quarterback one. Tall guy, big dude, very confident, and he knows he has the talent to back up that confidence. We heard it at that press conference, Trav.
Yeah, no question. I'm actually glad you brought that up about, well, who's he completing it to? Who's getting separation?
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm a huge fight fan, right? I love mixed martial arts. I love boxing. George, this happens all the time in the fight game. Stay with me. It's an analogy. So a lot of times a fighter might lose a fight or two, and they'll fire their trainer and get a new one. New trainer comes in, George, and they're teaching new tactics, right? We have a new plan of attack this time around. Last time you did this. This time we're training for this. And they'll change all this stuff up. When the fight starts, you'll see it. You'll see the new implementation of whatevs for a round, maybe two. And then the more you get hit in the face, all of a sudden you go back to those old habits. I bring that up because Drake Maye's a new fighter in this analogy, but he can have a plan. What he said in that answer is great. You can have that plan. But the Texans are going to throw everything at you, including the kitchen sink. What will you do? Are you going to hang in the pocket? I don't think so. George, I already told you, from a gambling standpoint, it always goes back to gambling for me. I want no parts of betting the actual side or the total in the game. Patriots, underdog by a touchdown. I don't want any parts of that. What I will do, where I will stick my foot in my toe in the pool here, is I need over on whatever rushing yards prop for Drake Maye, because I think he can say all he wants about the pocket. George, he's going to be running for his life, and the kid is athletic. So I'm not saying he's not going to get sacked. I'm not saying he's not going to get hit hard a bunch of times. All that's going to happen. But I do believe he will, ultimately, George, be able to move the chains with his legs. There's going to be plays that we just don't even see coming. It's going to be 3rd and 11, and we think, oh, here we go, another 3 and out, here's a punt. And he's going to do something amazing where he picks up a first down, maybe jukes a guy or two, and we're like, okay, we're getting flashes of things to come for him eventually when everything is built around him properly.
I'd like to say boo to the sports book I just pulled up. There's only rushing props on C.J. Stroud right now.
Of course, so, but game time, we'll have something.
No, I know. Oh, I know. But we saw that against the Jets when he got a series of work, and it was a 2nd or 3rd and long, I forget, and he got to the outside edge, scooted, got right to the first down marker, and moved the chains. Yep. And I saw that, and I go, yeah, that's what Drake Maye can do. He can scoot. My issue is with the protections that he had where he did get sacked. And this is a Texans team he's matching up with that leads the NFL in pressures, is one of the highest blitzing teams, is one of the best defenses to get unblocked pressures. So basically, D'Amico Ryans knows how to scheme up, whether it's a blitz or it's his defensive front and disguise stuff to create mass chaos and confusion at the line of scrimmage. So he's an unblocked rusher off the edge.
Yep.
Remember when the Patriots were down to their last 8 downs of the game? It was 1st and 10, Dolphins rush 4, Jacoby had time, incomplete. 2nd and 10, Dolphins rush 4, Jacoby had time. That was a missed pass to Jalen Polk. 3rd and 10, 4th and 10, they rushed 6. And that's when Emmanuel Ogbah was unchecked off the edge and blew up both plays. So that is what the Patriots are working with, and that's what Drake Maye has. But I agree with you. You're saying it like he switched. They switched their trainer in a way, or a trainer got a new fighter, whichever way you want to look at it.
Right.
And we will see the Patriots with a different tactic, a different punch to open up. This is D'Amico Ryans, man. He comes from the Robert Saleh School of Coaching on the defensive side of the ball. He has a lot of talent there as well. They're going to come out with their punch. They're going to come out with their medicine, and they're going to make their adjustments. And that's what I say again of why I was so angry after Sunday, why I've been so angry. I'll say it again. I don't care. I'm pissed off this entire week because we saw a team that was rushing the ball so well and they just never got back to it. And even late in the game, that never happened. And just a lack of adjustments and just awareness overall by Alex Van Pelt.
Yeah.
That, again, I don't bring up Drake Maye. I bring up the guy calling the plays. But I'm not skeptic of what DeMeco Ryans can do. I love the confidence that Drake Maye had. He said it too when he was asked, do you have any input for changes or game plan? He goes, biggest thing is AVP comes up to me and Jacoby says, what's your favorite third down play? What do you like in this down and distance? What are these A-plus plays? And he said he knows. He goes, for me, it's playing on time, playing in rhythm, which is a West Coast offense.
Yes.
Trusting the guys around me. And yes, I'm a rookie quarterback, but our offense is our offense.
Yeah.
I love all this from Drake Maye. He's saying all the right things. Okay, you're not going to be on time or rhythm because you're going to have pressures coming in under 2.5 seconds.
Exactly.
You can't trust the guys around you. I mean, you can trust Ramondre Stevenson. I'll trust him. But outside of that, I don't trust anybody. He's saying the right things. He has the right mentality. He has the confidence. He is being a leader. He sounds like a leader up there. I'm telling you that. I love this from Drake Maye.
Yeah.
It's the leadership around him that has me worried.
Yeah, facts. Even the play calling aspect of this, let's stay there for a second because, you know, it's easy for you and I, everyone feels this way, that the Texans are going to come in and blitz the hell out of Drake Maye. We get it, right? But in a lot of ways, this is where having a defensive-minded head coach is an advantage. I think DeMeco Ryans will blitz him, of course, but I also think, and you brought this up, he's going to disguise a bunch of stuff. He'll show blitz at times and then drop everyone back. I want to see Drake Maye deal with some of that too. And by the way, we saw this with Jacoby Brissett. I don't necessarily blame him, but I'm just giving an observation of there were times where Jacoby Brissett would have time, particularly in the Dolphins game. You and I watched that together, where he's standing back there. He has time to throw. It was the best offensive line has played all year in terms of pass pro, and he was still skittish because he's so used to getting hit every play, right? So I want to kind of see Drake Maye navigate that, but I bring up the play calling because with a elite play caller, that would take some worry off of me because it would say, okay, we're going to see a chess match between DeMeco Ryans at defense and elite play caller, insert name here, because it damn sure ain't Alex Van Pelt. So I'm worried in that sense, but that's where having a strong run game could help. Who do you see as sort of X factors other than Drake Maye offensively for the Patriots to have any sort of success? I have to imagine it's a run game, right?
No, it's the five guys up front.
Okay.
This should be the first game this season we see the same starting offensive lineman up front in back-to-back weeks for the Patriots. Again, that is a small nugget into why it's been so awful. They have had no continuity.
Yeah.
And it's said, Dante Scarnecchia, the greatest offensive line coach of all time, has said, it's not about having the most talented guys. It's about having five guys up front that think and see as one.
Yeah.
How can that happen if you don't have continuity and you don't have that throughout practice, let alone games? Like that can't. So finally that happens. To me, that's what it comes down to. I mean, this is Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson Jr. Hunter leads the league in pressures. And I know I've said this. So the Patriots offensive line lets up a career high percentage of dropbacks that end in pressures.
Mm-hmm.
The Texans have the highest pressure percentage for opponents' dropbacks in the NFL. What do pressures become when it's happening that often? Hits and sacks.
Right.
And when those hits keep mounting up, that kid that we're going to see take the field this Sunday won't be the same one 3-4 weeks from now, maybe next season. It happened to Jacoby Brissett. He was taking licks week 1. He was taking licks week 2, but he was moving. Week 3, we saw it go, he's not moving as much. Then he started getting slow to get up. Week 5, it returned, and it was too late by then. So it has to be, Trav. It's twofold. It's definitely the offensive line for me, and I'll double dip on this one. It has to be Alex Van Pelt.
Yeah.
Scheme guys open. Because what I'm interested with, and that's what I want to see, is DeMeco Ryans is such a smart schemer, and they're going to go man defense because they don't have the beaters. What made this Patriots offense very easy to match up with is you can just go single high safety, have 8 guys in the box, and go from there. And you know there's not the threat of the deep ball. Drake Maye's arm, his athleticism, his ability to extend plays and move the pocket because of sprint outs, rollouts, just being mobile, does a lot of that. So they're going to have to keep the defense honest and keep the offense honest in a way of go, we'll put 2 safeties back. that takes another guy out of the box. And that helps out the Patriots' strength, which is the run game. But will the guy calling the plays want to run the ball? I don't know, Trav. I really don't know. That's what's insane. 8 yards a carry, and he didn't want to run the ball. 8 yards a carry, and he did not want to run the ball with Ramondre Stevenson.
All right, so you went play calling and offensive line. I'll go wide receivers. You could say any name. I don't love any of these guys. Kendrick Bourne, maybe, now being back in the lineup, having a game behind him. Maybe he's shows up a little bit more. Pop Douglas, who we both like, but we don't believe is some sort of bona fide, true number one, maybe even number two wide receiver. But it doesn't matter who you name. I'm just going to say the core of wide receiver. Someone, somewhere, please get open down the field. I actually think this kid has an arm, George. We both know it. So I want to see somebody go vert, help this kid out, because we know damn well the Texans will load the box for the threat of the running game. We'll see if Alex Van Pelt goes there, right? And we know Drake Maye can move, and we certainly know they're going to blitz. So I feel like common sense tells me someone is going to have a one-on-one down the field. We can, roll the dice and talk about who can actually get separation and go make a play. But these are NFL players too. So give me once or twice in this game, go down, make a play vertically. Let's see the arm on Drake Maye. And I just believe it's going to be there. I think if someone could take the top off the defense, it's going to be there to be had, because they're certainly not going to drop everyone back and just let Drake Maye sit in the pocket. They're sending heat to him. Now, you went offensive line play caller. I went wide receivers as people who can help Drake Maye out. Not everyone believes that Drake Maye can be helped. In fact, we tell everyone to call in here to Boston has entered the chat, 617-790-0928. You can also email us, thechat@nesson.com. George, you love when we get voicemails. We got one. Sammy was just giving all of us here in New England, the Patriots organization, you, me, the fans, the business. He's saying we're setting Drake Maye up for failure. Take a listen.
Yeah, I've been watching Drake Maye since high school. All you people that in the media and the fans, Kraft, Mayo, Van Pelt, all your fools that are doing this, put the kid out there. You need to wear tunics to the first May start. The first game that he starts, I want you all to wear tunics, because you remind me of a Roman mob demanding fresh meat at the Coliseum. May is going to be slaughtered. I thought he was a top quarterback coming out, but you're looking at 7 to 8 sacks a game, maybe 12. I'd say he'll be seriously injured by the third game.
Yes,
a lot
Sammy.
of covering your, CYA going on here. The organization is just disgusting. May would have been better off going somewhere else.
Maybe, Sammy. Maybe, Sammy.
Sammy, my man, the organization is just disgusting.
Man.
Yes. Ooh, they are awesome. I love that he left his name on that.
Yeah.
Because he's my Sammy, I appreciate you calling in. I appreciate you watching. Thank you. Thank you for being my brother in arms and saying that this joke of a franchise and is discussing what they did to him and trusting him. I love that they drafted Drake Maye, but exactly this is my issue. Yeah. And it's going to be ugly against the Texans, and it will be ugly against the Jaguars, because there is the talent up front. And both teams can score. So guess what? That means more dropbacks. And when the game script gets away, it's going to lead to disaster from Drake Maye. Never heard of CYA before, Trav. I just want to say that. Maybe one of my favorite acronyms now. But this guy's saying it. I mean, everyone's shouting, put him in. It's not ready. It's not ready. He is ready, but the offense isn't ready for him. The NFL and these defenses will eat him alive. Trav, I don't want him to play because I want him to succeed. Like, I actually, maybe hard to believe, I want the Patriots to succeed with Drake Maye. They're not going to, because of what they're doing. By throwing him to the Lions in the Coliseum, where they're two of the biggest, baddest ones in Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson, and they have one of the best trainers in D'Amico Ryans calling those plays, man. It's going to be ugly. I love you, Sammy. Thanks for calling in.
Sammy, I'm glad you and George have befriended each other. You can leave me out of it, Sammy, because I'm telling you right now, I was one of the ones saying, Get him in there. Let's see what we got. And Sammy, I mean, clearly you have love for Drake Maye. You're making your boy Drake Maye sound soft. I know he looks 12, but he's going to be all right, Sammy. This ain't no damn Coliseum. He's going to be fine. Now, he's going to get a little banged up. I'm not going to lie, but he's going to hold up. I want to see, does this kid have moxie? Does he have toughness? Can he hang in there? Will he keep coming back week after week and playing hard and competing? I mean, come on, Sammy. Where's the fight, brother? All right, let's do this.
Can we find that out without ruining him as a football player? We can, Trav. It's football. We know Joe Burrow has moxie, right? But it's cost him his knee, his ribs, his wrist on his throwing hand. That's what bad offensive lines do. I'm not worried about him as a competitor. I'm not worried about his confidence. Not worried about him as a quarterback. I'm not worried about his moxie. I'm worried that he's going to be broken. And he's going to be a Sam Darnold, a Baker Mayfield, a Geno Smith, where he'll make other teams and other coordinators with good situations a lot of money and a lot of wins. And the Patriots are going to have their thumb up there, still looking. All right, I guess we're picking top 6 again. Let's go.
Hey, by the way, give us your voicemail, 617-790-0928. You can also email us at chat@nesson.com. All right, GB, let's do our power rankings here after 5 weeks in the NFL season. I can't even believe it's going that fast. Let's start with number 10. I'll set it off. I went Cowboys here. I don't know if they're higher on your list or not, but at the end of the day, they're winning ugly this season. And they're losing ugly too. But when they do win these games, it's all because of Dak. Dak has now reached the point of his career, and it's probably because all the money he makes, where he just doesn't have the benefits he used to. He doesn't have the top offensive line. He doesn't have Zeke in his prime like he used to have. He doesn't have all these great wide receivers. He has CeeDee Lamb, the end. And yet he's still making plays, winning games for the Cowboys. So I have to give Dak his props there. I'll go Cowboys at 10. Where'd you go?
He doesn't have any good teammates. Yes, it's because of the money he's making.
Yeah.
It's also because of who's his general manager and a man that likes to wait till the end of free agency.
I knew it was coming.
And wait, Dak, you want $200 million? No, give it time. I'll give you $233 million, and I'll really screw this roster over. Just wait for that. Same thing with CeeDee Lamb. 10 spots Tampa Bay for me, man. 10 spots. Okay. They lost to the Falcons. I know it. It was in prime time, but this is still a team that has all the right pieces. Their run game is improving, even as Rachaad White's volume is dropping off.
Yep.
But I just believe in Baker. I believe in the play calling. I believe in what Liam Cohen is doing, as he's still learning as he goes along. This offense is good, and that's a banged up defense. And this is in a better division than anyone is given credit to, including me. I thought it'd be a walk for the Falcons. I thought the Saints would be a non-factor, and it is anything but that. So I really like Tampa at that 10th spot for me.
All right, 9, I went the Bills. I really almost want to drop them out of my top 10, but I can't because they have Josh Allen, and that's it. And by the way, for the first time in his career, I think he has a consistent run game. I like James Cook. I like what they're doing with the run game, but this is not the same Bills team either. I mean, we just talked about Dak not having the luxuries he once did. Josh Allen had weapons galore for years offensively. They did not have a run game, but he had weapons. Well, now he finally gets a run game. He has no weapons. And, oh, by the way, his defense is not as good. But despite all that, I don't like his coach either. Despite all that, Josh Allen is Josh Allen. They will remain in my top 10 simply because of that. They're contenders just because they have him, George.
Yeah, I dropped them out of my top 10. I mean, they've lost 2 straight weeks, and they got run off the field by the Ravens, and they were simply outcoached by the Texans. You mentioned Sean McDermott, him calling 4 straight pass plays deep in his own territory when they had to eat clock and just give himself space to work with and could still make it a game. Yep. I mean, he bungled that all the way at the end. Josh Allen's been magnificent, but I was waiting, and I'm like, this magic's going to run out.
Yep.
And we see like you said, the lack of outside talent for the Bills rearing its head around. Like, let's keep in mind, like, he doesn't have any receivers, right? Cool. When he did have a great receiver, the Bills had to trade for him, and it was Stephon Diggs. Now, Khalil Shakir is good. Dalton Kincaid is serviceable as a good pass-catching tight end. But Keon Coleman is one of the worst wide receivers of the NFL at getting separation. He's not athletic. He's not fast. That pick did not make any sense when he really needed a guy on the outside. And they're dealing with it now. And as you mentioned, on top of that defense not being good, they got old and they aged out. Their safeties are gone. Their cornerbacks are gone. Everyone's a year older. This team is so banged up and so old, especially on the defensive side. I said it, this season for the Bills is a soft rebuild. It's a very soft rebuild because you have Josh Allen. They'll be in the playoff hunt. It's not an outright rebuild like what we see from the Giants or the Patriots or the Browns. It's a soft rebuild, and we're seeing it happen now. This is a bad team. Great quarterback, bad team. They're out of my top 10.
All right, number 8, I'm going with the team you predicted before the season that would be in the Super Bowl. I'm going Packers. Jordan Love has been back, but he didn't look like himself. I thought last week he finally looked like himself. I think the Packers are back. I didn't really argue with you on the Super Bowl thing coming into the season. I saw your vision. You remember I went Lions, but I think the Packers are about to get on a roll here, George. I really do. So I went Packers at 8.
I went Commanders at 8.
Okay.
Really good offense, great play calling, very good quarterback, good run game. I'm just skeptic. The schedule hasn't been that difficult.
Yeah.
But Jaden Daniels, man, with his talent and him being so smart.
Yep.
And when using his legs, how to use them wisely, the throws he can make, it keeps the Commanders in every game. And he's doing the best thing. Your defense sucks, keep scoring points. And that helps out the defense when their opponent is one-dimensional. I have the Commanders at the 8 spot.
All right, 7, I'm going Falcons here. I don't really believe in that team. I don't really believe in Kirk Cousins to win anything that matters. But in the regular season, George, even I got to admit, as a Captain Kirk hater, I mean, the guy puts up numbers, bro, and he does win games, and he is humming right now. He is having an MVP-like season. They go to where, Carolina this week? Please. We know how that's going to end. I'll go Falcons here at 7, even though I don't believe in them big picture. I mean, Raheem Morris has a defense playing well. Kirk Cousins, MVP level. Kyle Pitts, your boy, actually showed up. I like the Falcons here. I'll go Falcons at 7.
I like that spot a lot for them. I have them a tad higher. I went Packers in my 7th spot.
Okay.
And you mentioned it. And keep in mind, though, like they got out of LA with the win without Christian Watson because he's injured, without Romeo Doubs because he went AWOL, without Luke Musgrave, who's their starting tight end, and Tucker Kraft stepped up in a big way, and Jordan Love still working his way back. And again, going against Sean McVay. They run Sean McVay's system. Those are always going to be tough games against LA, no matter how banged up they are.
Sure.
This Packers team, the fact that they won a game without Jordan Love, the fact that they won games without Jordan Love speaks so highly of what they're doing right. They're going to get their footing. This is the lowest I'll have them, in my opinion, all season long, as long as Jordan Love is still their quarterback. They're still stepping up, and that's an underrated Rams team because of how well coached they always are.
I should have this team higher, but we'll see after this week. I'm going Ravens at 6. Look, that was the best game I think I've seen this season. That Ravens-Bengals game was amazing to watch, and it's still Lamar magic. And I do believe that Derrick Henry, the way they're using him, I feel like he'll be healthy by the time the playoffs come around because they're not really running him as much as you would think, and I think that's strategically done. So I love this Ravens team. It feels weird for me to have them all the way down here at 6. And they look, I brought up this week for a reason, more on that later. But I just think ultimately I'll move them up higher. But for now, I'm going to keep them at 6 because even in that Bengals game, they were dead to rights. I mean, Joe Burrow was destroying that defense. And it was just like it is every week, Lamar magic that brought them back and had them and had them in that game. So I'll go Ravens here.
I have Falcons at the 6th spot. Our top 10s are very similar. By the way, that spread of them in Carolina, -6, if that's less than a touchdown, I'm laying those points once we get off of this podcast. It's because of the Falcons. It's their defense. And that sounds crazy to say, but they have the best safety combo in the league. And when Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons can do so much for you and limit so many offenses and control everything from the back end to the point where you know what's happening in front of you, it makes everyone's job in front of them a lot easier. Safeties used to be a pivotal position. We grew up watching the Brian Dawkins, the Troy Polamalu, the Rodney Harrisons, the John Lynches, right? The guys that were so pivotal for a defense's success, the Bob Sanders. It's not as valued of a position anymore, but Jesse Bates and Justin Simmons are showing why. Jesse Bates himself is showing why based off how bad this Bengals defense has been since he's left. But also when you get on the offensive side, they haven't figured out Bijan yet. But with the weapons on the outside, we saw Kyle Pitts show up. And I'm not going to detract from Kirk Cousins twice in primetime, stepping up with game-winning drives, needing to make magic happen, and he does. This is a beautiful buildup that's happening for Kirk, and he's not even yet at his best form. Same thing, because they don't have their run game there yet. So that's Falcons at 6 for me.
Okay, my number 5 gave me a migraine, and here's why I brought up the Ravens schedule. At number 5, I have the Commanders. Those two play this week. This may be the only time this season, George, that I have the Commanders higher than the Ravens. And I just think it's going to be a daunting task for this Commanders team to go into the big crab cake in Baltimore and beat the Ravens. If they do, hey, I'll move them up even higher. I have them at 5. I have them ahead of the Ravens because I've been more impressed with what the Commanders have done. Ravens got off to a slow start. They're still not quite right. Commanders, I mean, bro, Jaden Daniels looks like the real deal. So I like their weapons that he has with Scary Terry. They have a strong running game with Brian Robinson Jr., Austin Eckler getting involved, doing everything, Mr. Versatility. Like we know, they have a really good defense. Dan Quinn, defensive-minded head coach. I like what the Commanders are doing here, but I reserve the right to move them up or down based on what happens in Baltimore, because some of me thinks they haven't played anyone, George. And if they go out there in Baltimore and get smoked, I'm moving them way down, obviously. If they go in Baltimore and beat Lamar and the Ravens, hey, this is the real deal. I'm not ready to stamp them quite yet, George, but I have them at 5.
This is perfect. Ravens are my 5.
Okay.
And the defense has looked, especially coming off the week they just had, is tough. But they have the run game. Lamar's still Lamar. I think they need one more outside playmaker.
Yep.
But it's still a very special team. I just really like the Ravens and their construction. I'll always believe in the coaching of John Harbaugh. The nucleus that they built there, I have the Ravens at the 5 spot. But the Commanders, man, they can prove a lot of people either wrong or a lot of people right with what they do on Sunday. This is a true litmus test. You're going to have an offense that can keep up with you. You're going to have a dynamic offense matching up. And it's the same thing. Very athletic quarterback, good deep ball passing quarterback, very strong run game. We'll see what defense steps up.
Yeah. Yeah, they could lose that game, the Commanders, and still kind of win it in terms of public opinion, and it could be a moral victory there for them. All right, I'm going Lions at 4. I've told you, they're the best roster in the league. I think they're going to the Super Bowl. They're coming off the bye. They're going to go into Dallas and kick the Cowboys' ass.
Keep it simple. I like that. I have the Texans at 4, and you'll understand why when I share my top 3, but Josh Allen, 9 for 30 from the field. Are you kidding me? You made Josh Allen seem human in a team that they can match up with in the playoffs. They did a great job containing them. Their man corners matching up outside, and their safeties, same thing. And this offense is his offense. Nico Collins going down can affect them. He's on the IR with a hamstring for the next 4 weeks at minimum. So we'll see when he comes back. But I still believe in the talent they have. Like John Mechie's a def piece we haven't even really seen emerge yet. They have the play calling. They have the QB. This defense is gaining its ground. I really like how the Texans are constructed.
Hey, you don't have to sell me. I have them at 3. I believe in the Texans, and I said this to you earlier today. I think you can make a case they're the team to beat in the AFC. I know the Chiefs are unbeaten, but they are vulnerable. They're beat up. They're not the same. I don't believe they're going to three-peat. We'll see. But I think the Texans, by the way, who play the Chiefs, I'm looking at it here, they play the Chiefs and the Ravens in back-to-back weeks late in this season, December, January. I'm going Texans here at 3. I really am starting to believe in this team, and I think they have a real shot to go to the Super Bowl.
Where are those games when they match up in those back-to-backs?
They go on the road for the Chiefs, so that'll be interesting. Then they get the Ravens at home.
That's going to be a tough one. Arrowhead late in the year, really cold,
I know,
really loud.
cold.
I know. I have the Vikings in my 3 spot. They beat the Jets even with their offense out of sync, and that's a very good Jets defense they matched up with. They won with bad Darnold play. Like, I think that's huge that you see from a team. And week in, week out, what Brian Flores is doing on the defensive side of the ball, they have the best coordinator combination in the league. Kevin O'Connell's the head coach, but he's offensive coordinator. And Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator. They have the best coordinator combination in the NFL, and you're seeing it pay off with what they're working with. Vikings are 3 for me.
2, I'm going Chiefs. It's just Mahomes' magic. I don't even believe in this team. They're, like I said, they're vulnerable, but Kelsey's finally got it figured out. You know, he got off to a slow start this season, but him and Mahomes are doing what they always do. The defense is playing well. Andy Reid's the best coach in the world. You got to go Chiefs here.
Chiefs are 2. They're 5-0.
Yeah.
They beat the Jets with their offense. Excuse me, being the Jets. But even with their offense looking awful, they found ugly ways to win crucial games. I mean, it's all about the defense for them. It's
Yep.
literally all about the defense.
Yep.
And when number 15 has to turn it on, no one's more clutch than him in the NFL. It's a perfect balance. All these injuries, what we saw them do against the Saints should further incline Brett Veach to go out and get a wide receiver, because Juju Smith-Schuster, who was cut by the Patriots, who have the worst wide receiver room in the league, was making huge game-changing plays for this Chiefs offense. That can only last so long. They better invest and get a receiver through the trade market, free agency, whatever, make something work, because they could waste another Super Bowl defense and, of course, another year of Mahomes and the potential to be the first team to three-peat in the Super Bowl era. Come on.
Yeah, well said. All right, I'm going Vikings 1. I had them 1 last week. I can't move them off of them when they're not losing games. I just think they're a complete team. They're well coached. I get it. It's Sam Darnold, but he's playing well. And they run the ball. The defense is amazing. Brian Flores is doing a great job as a coordinator there. Kevin O'Connell, you and I both like. I really like the Vikings. I don't believe in them big picture. This, at midnight, they're going to turn back into a pumpkin. I get it. They are Cinderella. But I can't take them out of my number 1 spot on my power rankings until they lose a game and they look human. Right now, they don't.
Lions are 1 for me. They didn't play a game. I can't move them. They look so good last we saw them. You know what, that roster is definitely needs to get better defensively, especially on the back end of that. But this Lions offense, when it's firing on all cylinders and everyone's healthy and clicking, is so dangerous. And you know me, man, I'm a big proponent. Go out, trade for Devontae Adams. Trade your first-round pick to get a defensive piece on the back end, too. Go all in, because the Super Bowl window is right now.
Where'd you have the Vikings on your list, bro? You hating on the Vikes?
3.
All right. You know
they don't have Mahomes.
You know I don't pay attention that much. All right, let's talk about the Thursday. Let's talk about the Thursday night game. Tonight we get Niners at Seahawks. Both of these teams struggling, George. Let's call it what it is. Who do you like in this? Do you believe that the Niners are as bad as they've looked, or is this just a rough patch? Where are you at in this game? I hate to say this, but it's so early in the season. This feels like a must-win game for the 49ers to me, George.
Must win for both of them, if you ask me, on just the Seahawks coming off that bad loss to the Giants, and then the Niners coming off a bad loss to the Cardinals. But if there's anything we know about the NFC West, it's just like a wild card. It doesn't matter how bad the Cardinals are, they're going to give the Niners fits. Doesn't matter how bad any of these teams are in the Rams, they're going to give, the Seahawks or the Niners fits as well. What's big for San Fran is they lost Taulia Hufanga. They're all-pro safety again. I think it was ligaments in his wrist, but he's back on the IR. That's an all-pro safety that they haven't had for a while now. Torn ACL last season, wrist injury this season. They're banged up. To say they're just not good, the quality of the team we've seen on the field isn't the same, but they still have a great running game, even though it's Jordan Mason. That changes the passing game. And we saw Brandon Ayuk and Brock Purdy finally click and connect. I don't think that's a one-off. Ayuk is a top 10, top 8 wide receiver in the league when he's on his game. And it took him some weeks. He held out. The guy has to learn how to be a professional now and get back into it. You got paid. You want to win a Super Bowl. This is now. What I like about this matchup, man, we're going to see a lot of scoring because both teams, their secondaries have been okay. Both of their run games have been bad. And when you think of the matchup of Kenneth Walker against Jordan Mason and everything that sets up for the offenses with all this receiving talent, this good quarterback play, I think we're going to see a lot of points scored in this. So honestly, I'm just really excited for it. But because it's Brock Purdy and because it's Kyle Shanahan matching up with the first-time head coach and Mike McDonald, I do give the Niners the edge in this one.
Yeah, me too. Look, I'll say this about the Seahawks. You said both run games have been bad. I disagree. I think the Seahawks running game has been inconsistent, and it's because Kenneth Walker has been in and out of that lineup. When he's in the lineup, they run the ball effectively. I'm assuming that Kenneth Walker is going to have some success here against the 49ers running the football. I could see Seattle, especially being at home, really leaning on him on this primetime stage here. Kenneth Walker's going to have a big workload in this game. Maybe that's the difference. When they run the ball effectively with him, George, they win games. When they don't, not that Charbonnet's doing a bad job filling in for him, but it's not the same team. It's not the same offense. I like Geno, but I don't want Geno throwing the ball all over the yard to give me a shot to win. I've never been comfortable with that. Even in this iteration of Geno where he's good, right? He needs a balanced attack offensively to be the most effective, and then you start getting DK Metcalf and those other guys cooking. I don't know, man. As I talk this out loud, I came into the season thinking that the 49ers were going to take a step back, not this big of a step, but a step back a bit. I'm looking at the division as we speak, George. Boy, you want to talk about parity. Right now, the Seahawks are atop the division at 3-2. Then you have Arizona and the Niners at 2-3, and then that guy, Sean McVay with Matt Stafford at 1-4. So they're right there. They could turn around their ship. I think I'm leaning Seahawks at home, bro, and I can't even believe I'm saying that. But it's kind of going as I thought for the Niners. Not as bad, but I just don't think they're the same team that's been knocking on the championship door for years. Some of me thinks that door might be locked now, George. I don't know if they can get back in that door. They can keep knocking, but they damn sure ain't going to go in there anymore. I think the Seahawks could win this game and not take a commanding lead in the division. I just gave you the standings. It's up for grabs. But I think the Seahawks can maybe get a little separation here. As you said, must win for both, right? I think the Niners, it's a must win for a different reason. You got to stop the bleeding, right? You got to get back on the good foot. You got to get back on the right track. I think for Seattle, it's more of a must win because, hey, we're going to win this division. It's our time now. And if you're going to do it, what better stage than tonight in prime time at home to beat the Niners and really kick them while they're down. Does that make sense, George?
No, and especially if Kenneth Walker goes. I mean, when he's in a game, he's one of the best running backs in the NFL. I mean, The balance he has, how strong he runs, how quick he is, and whether it's outside or inside, I mean, that guy's just comfortable to move. He's such a sick athlete. It is just a question of his health, but that's a reflection of the run style he has. He's not afraid of hits, but he's great at making guys miss. I don't blame you in a desperation game going with the home team at all. And again, this Niners team has struggled against the run. Like, they have not been good stopping the run. They've been struggling to generate pressures. Like, losing Javon Hargrave was big. With Fred Warner, like, not 100%. With Hufanga now out of the lineup. Like, this Niners team is very susceptible. You're picking a healthier team, and I don't blame you. I'm picking the better coach, in my opinion. I wouldn't be shocked if I was wrong. And that's why I end up with, like, I'm just going to be enjoying watching the scoring, I saw what this game is. I went with the over on the total because this just screams a wonky. It's going to be a weird NFC West game. We'll probably see a pick six or something occur, but it's like a 32-27 final. I think a lot of scoring and I think a weird score in this too. Yeah.
Okay, I have a 27. I didn't get to 32. I'm going to go 27-23 Seahawks here. I think we're going to get I think we're going to get a heaping helping of Kenneth Walker the third here. So I'm going to go Seahawks sort of out physical the Niners, which again, just even saying some of this stuff out loud, it's crazy to think. But
they can do it. They can do it.
They can. They can do it. They have the personnel to do it. And the Niners are playing in a way in which they're susceptible to it right now. Hey, check out Foxborough Rush, by the way. We talk football till our faces turn purple on that show. Available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get your podcast. All right, let's talk Bruins. I don't even want to waste time talking about that Panthers game. I'm still upset. Instead, George, I want to turn the page like a great novel to tonight. How about the home opener, baby, against the Habados? What do you think? You like the Bees tonight?
Yeah, I do. I really like them.
too.
I mean, first off, the Canadians are going to go from playing at home, getting right on a bus or plane, coming down to Boston.
Right.
So they're going to be catching the Bruins. The Bruins will catch the Canadians on the second half of a back-to-back. And it's also like a Canadians-Leafs game. And then you got to go from Canadians-Leafs to Canadians-Bruins in the Garden.
Right.
But also just how big this defense is for the Bees. I mean, it's Zadorov. It's other Lindholm. It's McAvoy. It's Carlo. It's Lerai. A really big blue line matching up with the talented Canadians attack, but they're undersized. And it's Lane Hudson, who's a scoring defenseman. It's obviously Cole Caulfield and Suzuki up on that first line.
Yep.
We'll see what else they'll get from Kirby Dach if he can stay healthy. But this is such a quick Canadian team, but they're so small that this is – it's not the Bruins and Cam Neely built their defense for the Florida Panthers.
Yes.
But these are games where this defense has to prove themselves, especially the way they got embarrassed against Florida. And that has to be addressed.
Yeah.
It was a lot of turnovers on the offensive blue line. It was a lot of bad breakaways. It was leaving Korpisalo out to dry. It was a bad job cleaning up rebounds. That'll wake up a team like the Bruins. That will wake up a team like the Bruins.
Yeah.
So because they're more rested, you give them by a day. And because they're coming off a loss, I just like the Bruins in this one. I laid the puck line because I got me to plus money, and I do think the Bruins win by 2 or 3 goals.
First of all, let me just say I love how you are gambling here. It just warms my heart, George. Every segment, you're throwing in a little nugget of gambling, and I love it. And look, I agree with you completely. I actually think they're going to beat the hell out of the Canadians. I do, and they need it bad. And that place is going to be rocking. I cannot wait for the Garden to be electric. Let me ask you this. Are we going to get a Swayman in the net anytime soon? I mean, my God, George, I need it. He's got paid. I get it takes some time. When are we going to see Sway? I need Sway, GB.
I mean, he got signed Saturday, got on that plane. He's been in shape, working out at BU with Jay Pandolfo and his team. I mean, he needs games. Why not? Like, how can I discount it against the Canadians?
We're at home.
It's coming down to where Jim Montgomery didn't write off like Swayman could play game 2. He just said, or Don Sweeney, excuse me, he said it's when goalie Bob and Jeremy Swayman decide what is best for Swayman.
Yes.
If Swayman is the type of guy he is and everything he said, he will want to be in that crease for that home opener against Canadians.
Yes.
For the city of Boston, for his teammates. So if he's ready, which he said he is, thanks to the guys at Boston University, he said, I'm forever a Black Bear, but now I'm a Terrier, then I think he gets in the crease for the Bruins. I think we see Swayman home opener on Thursday night.
Okay. Well, with that being said, now I'm going to say this with my chest because I was going to ask you for a score prediction from this game, but I feel the same way. I think we get some Swayman in this game. So you know what, GB? What better way to celebrate a new contract, to celebrate a new season, to celebrate a new chapter in Bruins hockey than a shutout? Give me 3-0 Bruins, baby. Let's go. Gamble on that. What's your score?
I knew you were going there. I'm going 4-1 on this one. There were still bad turnovers. Like, this defense still has to clean a lot up, and it's going to take maturation and chemistry to click on the back end as much as it is on the front end. But I want to find we're not going to see what a shutout would be yet because they don't know who's in the net.
But when it's up, we betting it. We bet. Well, I guess not we. You like 4-1. I'm betting it.
You could go under a half point for the Canadians. That'll get you 7-1 bets. So
I don't hate that.
Might as well go with that right now.
I'm
excited for this one, just for them to be back at home. And if it's Swayman in the net, it's just in general, like, they got out to a slow start. It was a ton of breakaways to begin. The Panthers were ready. The Bruins weren't. That's going to ignite them. But I am excited to see this matchup with the Canadians because this is a team that's been in a rebuild for so long.
Yep.
I hate the Canadians, except for Cole Caulfield, great guy from Wisconsin. You can't be in Boston and like the Canadians. It's literally sacrilegious. That is not okay.
Facts.
But it makes it more fun to hate them when they're actually good. So can the Canadians get good again? Can they be a competent team and a good franchise and make it competitive? Because they have sucked for so long. Can they finally get back to being good? That's what I want to see. But I still want the Bruins to beat them by 3 goals.
I love it. Hey, you know what? For Boston has entered the chat here inside the PNC Bank Studios, Travis Thomas on remote. Our guy, George Balekji in New Jersey, getting to the bottom of the Robert Saleh firing. He's investigating the whole thing. He's going to have Aaron Rodgers on the stand. You got to love that. Hey, check us on the next one of Boston has entered the chat. GB, you know we appreciate you and we love you. Get back to Boston safe. Till next time, peace.
Love you guys.